Hello there and welcome to my beginner's guide of Empires of the Undergrowth. In this video I'm going to guide you through everything you need to know to have fun with this game. So we're going to get started with the campaign mode or story mode, as once you have learned this stuff you can transfer it to all the other game modes. So story mode, we create a new colony, you select a color for it, we take a yellow one and you name it. This one I'll name tutorial obviously. So we're starting, and the next thing we are now seeing is our campaign colony. This is important to note because this is the colony that you're going to keep over the course of many missions. There are, if you go over here in the level selection, one-shot scenarios where you get to play a certain mission, which will then yield resources that you can spend on this screen. So what does this screen show you? Well, let's go over here. First off, I want to show these things. That is your population versus max population, territory, stuff that you can dig out, royal jelly for permanent upgrades, food for pretty much any unit that you hire and fire, and workers and soldiers. So, as you see, everything in the world of this game is hex shaped, and if we left click somewhere, we set up a digging command, and as you see here, the green outlining is food. There we go. And as soon as food is available, if there are ants in the vicinity, they're going to pick it up. So far, so good. Down here, we have our mini map, and down here, we have our unit roster. As you see here, there is one group. That is the nest group. This is the one that is busy doing all the construction jobs, the digging jobs, transporting stuff from one place to another. These are basically your logistics dude, and they can't take any orders. Any group that you have here can be left-clicked and dragged and dropped into any other segment. And as you see here, these are then groups that you can freely configure, and if they are highlighted like that, you can right click somewhere to place a pheromone marker to send them somewhere to walk. And that is how you can command them. I highly recommend you though to have a couple of these available here. So over here we have our construction menu where we can have food stockpiles, roads, and we can upgrade tiles. And here we can hire other ants. So that is so far the basics. There is also the adaptations menu, but I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. For now, I'm going to go over into one of these scenarios because here I can explain way better how the game works. Because this place here, we're building it up to resolve this main quest here, the first experiment. You see all these big lines, they all happen on this map. So basically what you do is you play these missions to gain resources, bolster up your colony, and then play these missions, beat them, unlock new colonies, and so on and so forth. So we're going to go in here. As you see there, there's different difficulty levels that also influence the amount of rewards. And as soon as you have finished one of these missions successfully, you can also play them again with a challenge mode activated. Each of these missions has a distinct set of jobs, resources, and a fixed map. The difficulty level here, as you see in these exclamation mark thingies, are enemies, and the green outlinings are either food or we don't know what. So our first job for a colony is always to set up some extra workers. There we go. So with that room that we got, as you see here, there's some worms. Our workers are gathering these automatically. And now we're going to build our first units. I'm going to go and here I mouse over these. That's the worker ant, and that's the soldier ant. The worker ant is a multi-purpose ant, but it's really excelling at logistics. The soldier ants are the ones that can do also logistics, but also fighting, and that is the interesting part. There is basically no ant outside there that is not able to carry stuff. As you see now, we have found here a new group. I'll drag and drop that over here, and as soon as the field is fully built, my ants drag food over there. You see a -5, and now I have one fighter ant. Here's the important thing. You pay 50 food for the tile, and then you need another 5 food for the ant. If the ant dies, I need yet another 5 food to rehatch it. And every empty field of these, your ants will try to hatch as soon as possible. Around your queen, there's always 6 fields of worker ants that you can't interact with otherwise. They are exactly this starting crew here. The center one also spawns one, so it's a grand total of 7. So your job now is to first off set up yourself a fighter force, but also I highly recommend you to go for a couple of worker ants. As you see, workers are much less costly, but also their damage is only 20% of what the other guys is. And yeah, that is very, very, very noticeable. So much about that. Food, as you see here, we can only store 70. If we start building now food stockpile tiles though, let's fill that room with this. There, it goes up. Every food stockpile tile holds now 10 more food. Let's dig towards here. What's really important to note is that every ant that or every worker ant grid that I now connect to this one will add ants into this group. If I now build fighter cell over here, for example, we will build another group that we can then drag and drop somewhere else. What's really, really important though to note is you can't separate a squad from one room. One room always sticks together, so to speak. Therefore, if you want to have extra squads, you need to dig them extra chambers. So far, so good. We're slowpoke building up ourselves a nice little army of warriors, and we can, of course, right-click them here, and then as you see with a pheromone marker, they now go over there and start carrying stuff and doing work for the other ants. So, you also have road tiles, which are really, really important, as you, for example, could and should always have roads wherever you don't have anything else. They only cost 5 food and they speed up travel massively. That's a real big benefit. So I just want to show you what I'm talking about to not make it only theoretical but also practical. As soon as that tile is built, you see we have now a second group, so now we could have our forces divided, which is very, very valuable. You also can pick these fighters and put them, for example, to the nest group. The dudes here will try the same jobs, but also happen to be in the vicinity of the queen at all times, so this way you can easily set up yourself a little bit of a bodyguard thing. Okay, now, you surely have already noticed the red exclamation marks. These are enemies. I also want to note that they come in different sizes. Look at that. This is a much bigger threat than the other one, so mind your size on the exclamation marks. I'm putting down the pheromone marker now really close to where the red exclamation marks are, and I'm now digging myself in there. There we go. The first monsters have arrived, placing down the pheromone markers there, and now our fighters will go in and kill those beasties. If ever a fighter of yours or a worker of yours dies, he will be immediately replaced by workers of the home squad. They will carry food over there so somebody new can hatch. This means 2 things. First off, if you want to fight, it is very wise to always keep some food up on reserve, because you will have to have replacements. And second, on most maps, your resources are finite. So that means whenever somebody dies, it really means something, because, well, you will only get as much food as is lying around there. Most missions have different variables that give you new food. Your main campaign, for example, receives always new food when you finish one of these side missions, so that's that. In this mission, for example, our task is very straightforward and simple. We just need to kill every enemy. Alright. We now know pretty much most of the things that we need to know. There is now also the update upgrade. So as you see there, cells can be upgraded. Every cell requires the number behind the slash of upgrade points around it. So when you look at this cell, it receives 1 upgrade point from walls, from its from its neighbors that host constructions, but nothing from the empty tile. To illustrate it better, let's put a road tile on that and check the upgrade toolkit again. Check this out. So that means in a grand total, you want to have your fields always surrounded with something constructed. And here the most important thing comes. This upgraded tile now emanates a +2 over to this tile. So the more upgraded tiles you have, the easier it will get to upgrade it. And as you see there now, they are starting to influence each other. So this one jumped from 6 to 7 by upgrading this, and so on and so forth. Each cell can be upgraded twice up until level 3. Level 3, as you see, needs 12 upgrade points. And here's the logistical challenge in your gameplay to get your chambers sized in a way that it helps you. Here it also is very important to say quality matters so much. A tier 3 unit is so much more mighty than a tier 2 unit, a tier 1 unit, and the most important thing about that is the costs don't change. Your tier 3 fighter will cost you the same amount of food as your tier 2 fighter or your tier 1 fighter. They just give you much more yield out of your food. The challenge that the game imposes permanently on you is that you always have to evaluate, do I need quantity or quality more right now? Because some things are better solved with quantity, like having a lot of stuff to carry from one area to another. That is where you should just, like I do it here, spam a gajillion of worker hands and just let them do the heavy lifting. At the end of the day, I always have one side squad of worker ants that I use for logistics tasks, but it is up to you. The last thing that I wanted to mention here before we are pretty much done with this part, whenever your ants traverse through a brood chamber or any constructed chamber, which is not a road, they get slowed down. So you also want, therefore, have a setup that has roads and chambers branching off of it. Here I didn't do too much of a good job because I just wanted to explain how the construction works, but I'm sure you get the idea. So, as a last word of advice, try to upgrade your troops as quick as you can. Upgraded troops are so freaking valuable in this game, and yeah, at the end of the day, they are even saving you money, so to speak, or food, as food is your money. All right, so let's get out of this. Our job would be now to eliminate all of the creatures, and that would be all of the exclamation marks here. So we would be now, if we'd be playing this for ourselves, training up new armies, conquering a new chamber, training, conquering. This is the whole loop that you will be revolving around a lot. Conquering and feeding. And once you're done with that, we're going to quit to the Formicarium now. You get some reward here. We almost got no rewards because we didn't finish the quest. There's also achievements to each of these scenarios. We get back to the Formicarium, where we then can build for ourselves what we want. There's also in many maps this sort of an surface entrance. If you click it, you dig it. And when you dug it, you have access to the surface world. It takes a moment, as you see. And here we go. So the surface world interacts just the same as the rest of the world. You just can send your ants with pheromone markers outside, and then they go outside and do their thing out there. So, last but not least, every squad can receive these commands. So you can either disable or enable that they gather, fight, or mount their enemies to attack them. This is advanced tactics that is for this video not that important. What is important is that sometimes you want your fighters just focusing on the fight. And if you do that, they will not start picking up randomly giblets of food instead of fighting. Because once an ant has food in its mandibles, it's going to carry it back to the nest. That's the most important thing. The other way around, this way, you can focus your troops to be logistics only. Very valuable, for example, if you want to smuggle a squad of worker ants past front to carry valuable resources back home. Stuff like that. Okay, last but not least, let's talk adaptations. So Royal Jelly, as you see, is a reward for our missions, and we can then upgrade our troops, unlock new troops. So with 75 jelly, we can get the same fighter ants that we had in the previous scenario for the main campaign. You will have to beat the main campaign's levels to unlock new ants, and by the end of it, you'll have a roster of 5 different troops that from this point on also come always in 2 different flavors. Only the fighter ant has only one specific form, the other 2 have the other 4 have all a different specialization that you can choose to your own liking. Speaking about specializations, there are also ability slots. Each of these slots gives you the choice between one of these 2 skills, and each slot has different skills. Once you have unlocked here level 3 on each unit, which you need to do, and unlock both ability slots, a plus sign will show up that'll allow you to even boost the base stats of your ants with Royal Jelly. So that's pretty much all you need to know mechanically. There's really not that much more. And there are a couple of mechanics that I can't explain here properly. For example, in Chapter 3, you will encounter the leafcutter ants, which do farming instead of scavenging. But yeah, in a grand total, with the things you have learned in this video, you will be able to dig yourself through the rest of the game. I'm very convinced of that. And at the end of the line, you even get a new game plus mode, so there's really a lot to dig forwards to. Now, my friends, I ain't got more to say. I hope this was informational. Feel free to leave me in the comment section some things that I might have missed, some things that you might want to add, or whatever question is on your mind. Feel free to leave a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and check out the description box. There's lots of links to go around there, and I hope you have a nice day. See you soon, and bye-bye.